This video is brought to you by Jab.se, the lead supplier of MMA gear in Scandinavia. BetSafe.com, Europe's only online betting site for MMA.
Sisu mouthguard. Stronger, thinner. This is the game changer.
This is a legit super fight, and sometimes it appears these guys aren't getting the respect that they deserve.
I don't feel that way. I see people talking, saying Dana's crazy, this isn't a super fight and stuff like that. It is a super fight, and there's a lot of people that are definitely pumped for this fight. I think that fight's getting the respect it deserves. You got these light heavyweights, the heavyweights, and people are dying to see Frankie and Jose.
That was a little awkward there with the big boys here. You're standing in the middle.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I didn't know that they had some words with each other, and Silva kept pushing up against him and getting in his face closer and closer. So I tried to stop him, and he says, and Silva said, "You better start respecting me." And then he said, "I'm gonna effing destroy you."
Have that Super Bowl feeling now, Dana? I mean, we're on the heels of the Super Bowl. You do this. Is it a different feel for this than other events?
Yeah, I love this card. It's a big card. It's a great card. The fights are are very good fights and fights that mean something. So, yeah, I love this card. Right down from the little guys all the way up to the main event.
Will you say now for sure that if Overeem does win on Saturday, that he'll fight for the belt next?
Yeah. If he wins, he'll get a title shot.
Some of the guys asking some questions because of Super Bowl weekend. Jose said he'd be a field goal kicker because he kicked 43 yards before. Frankie says he'd like to be a running back or better yet a coach. Rashad said he'd be a tailback. Talk about some of these guys. How would they fare on the football gridiron?
Probably not too good. Probably not too good. It's okay to dream though. Hey, maybe Aldo could probably kick a field goal. I do believe that. Yeah, I believe that. Tailbacks and all this other stuff now.
You say that.
A lot about like Chris Cyborg and Ronda Rousey, and you said the women's division is 135 pounds. Cyborg said she'd come down to 140. Would you ever entertain any kind of
title
catch
fight? Let's say if that's what she's willing to do is go to 140. Let Ronda defend her title a few times and see if Ronda wants to go to 140. If I know Ronda, she probably would anyway. So let's see what happens. But if she wants to fight for a title and have a title fight, she's got to go to 135 pounds. Fight at 140 would be a fan fight because everybody wants to see it, but it's not one of those fights that makes sense. But yeah, I'm sure it could be.
That you absolutely close the door.
Absolutely have to do. Listen, Cyborg either wants to come in and fight for the title and get a big payday and fight, the champion.
You said Alistair will get a title shot at heavyweight. What about Lil Nog and Rashad Evans? How far away are they from a potential 205 title shot?
Yeah, obviously, I think Rashad already fought him. We'll figure out there. There's some things that are going to happen this weekend. I'm not gonna do that today. I'm not going to talk about if this guy wins, we'll do that. I hate doing that anyway, but we've got some plans and things that we're talking about right now. We'll see how this weekend shakes out.
Is Cyborg under contract with you right now, or is her?
She is, yeah.
Do you owe her fights? I mean, I know there is no 145 division, but do you owe her fights? And
yeah,
are you obligated to get her something?
We're figuring that out right now. We're going to figure out how to, as we brought the Strikeforce people into the UFC, we're finding a place for them. We created a 135-pound division, and the women that are at 145, we got to figure out.
So if she can't get to 135, you got to put together a 145 fight for her?
Or let her go.
Have you finalized who's coming over from Strikeforce as of now?
Have we no. I mean, I couldn't crack it off right here anyway. I mean, I'd have to have a list. I think you guys know that we're looking. What I really want to do is, I'm happy that this is finally done and these guys are coming to the UFC. They went through a lot of crap over there over the last year, and I'm just happy they're here.
How close is Josh Barnett? How close are you to signing with Josh Barnett?
Josh? I don't know. I'm not involved in it at all. Joe Silva's doing it. So, from what I hear, we're close. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we both want to be in business, so we'll see what happens.
The cards, the New Year's card, the 4th of July card, the Super Bowl card, all the terrific cards. This one's stacked again. You kind of answered that. Talk a little about that.
Yeah, well, we've been pretty lucky so far this year. We've had a good run. No injuries. The injuries that have happened have been in the prelims. Last year we hit the worst streak you could ever hit, with main events and co-main events falling out left and right. It was a really rough year on us. We made it through it, and this year started off fantastic. I mean, we're firing on every cylinder right now. TV, you know, the reality, everything that we're doing right now is working out great. So
You've always tried to make the Super Bowl card kind of a special card, and again, you have.
people, you know, that have never been to Vegas for the Super Bowl don't realize how awesome it is here. It's such a great weekend. So many people come in town for the game. There's parties everywhere. There's tons of people in town, and it's always a great weekend. It's one of my favorites.
If Aldo wins,
Like with Alistair, I know that after he was suspended, he came to you, manned up, and came and talked to you. What's your guys' relationship like?
Alistair, I got a great relationship with him. You know, that situation happened, and he couldn't have been more of a man about it. You know. And it wasn't like he just showed up or whatever. He sat down in the office and waited for me for, 45 minutes until I was done, came up, talked. I mean, just very stand-up. So we're cool.
Have you had a chance to talk to Randy Couture since the Bellator signing and his deal with them?
No.
And what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel a little bit betrayed by Randy?
Well, I can tell you this. Randy Couture comes off as the greatest guy in the world, Captain America. He's the furthest thing from it. And I'm happy to not be in business with him anymore. Now I don't ever have to be in business with him ever again. How's that? Does that answer it?
That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
That's going to be a surprising statement for a lot of fans. I think
Not for a lot of people that know him, it won't be. 99.9% of the people, that won't be shocking at all, that know him. People that actually really know him, not people that watch him on TV.
So on Twitter, I think people pointed out on Twitter that you said you were happy for Randy, but
they said, how do you feel about Randy being over there? I said, I love it.
Right,
Is what I said.
I think people thought that they meant that you were happy for him, but you were just happy.
I am happy for him, and I'm happy for me.
How long did it take you to get to know him? Because you worked with him for a long time until you.
Yeah, I would say when that whole lawsuit went down, when he lied about his numbers and lied about a lot of things, went into court, and it didn't work out for him, I'd say that's when I really got to know him.
Any update on Rampage?
And when that whole thing went down, I was the guy that he was attacking. I was the guy that, he was, it's easy if you look at me, and the way that I'm in public, it's easy to say, oh, this is the guy we can attack and make me look good. Of course, everybody's going to side on Randy. When we went in that courtroom, and this guy that he's playing out to be this horrible human being, there were a lot of things that happened in there, but the nail in the coffin was, if I'm this horrible, despicable human being that he speaks about and all these things and the way that he was treated and all this stuff, when he was in town and he had just had his brand new baby, okay? Him and his wife are in town, just had a brand new baby. They're down in Las Vegas filming The Ultimate Fighter. Would you drop your brand new baby off at that guy's house to watch your brand new baby and leave him there overnight and come pick him up the next day? I would have to say, I don't know. What would you say? Anyway.
I don't think so.
What about Rampage? What happens with Rampage now?
He's not in the UFC.
Are you upset about that, or
no?
He did put on some exciting fights, and he has a huge fan following.
Pretty much just like anybody else. Let's put it this way. I mean, I know the answer you want from me right now. That's why you asked me the question.
Well,
you're not asking the question because you're really curious about what's going on.
I'm not trying to get you to say anything negative.
You want me to go fucking crazy on Rampage right now, but the reality is Rampage wasn't very nice on his way out. He's lost 3 fights in a row, which is no different than any other guy who would lose 3, 4, 5 in a row. And the real situation is here, Rampage doesn't want to be in business with us anymore, And Rampage is going out saying stupid stuff like we lie about our pay-per-views and stuff. He can come in, any fighter who has a pay-per-view deal has audit rights. So if you really thought that you were ripped off on your pay-per-view, wouldn't you be lawyering up right now and coming in with your audit team to come in and check the books? Yeah, you would.
Did he ever inquire about that, about taking advantage of that opportunity?
He's going to pay some auditors to come in, and they're going to tell him you've been paid every dime you're supposed to be paid. We've been doing this stuff now for 13 years. If we weren't paying guys not only do we pay guys what they were supposed to be paid, we pay them more money than they were supposed to be paid. So everything that the guy says is complete bullshit. When you start digging so deep that you're talking about your fucking action figure deal. I had an action figure deal. Then they did a deal with the company, Listen, Rampage, if you're not happy here, you go somewhere else and you work. Good luck to you. I've got no beef with Rampage. I got no, ill will toward him. Not going to out to hurt Rampage or anything like that. He's not happy. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere where you can be made happy.
with the statements that he has made? Are you willing to still talk to him, at least consider the option?
We're not talking. We're not. I mean, I talked to his manager a few days ago, you know, and you know, he kind of told me what they're looking at and what they're doing and stuff. But good luck to him, man. And I think, to be honest with you, I think Rampage said it better himself. This is a quote from Rampage. I don't think I can compete with the best in the world anymore. I don't think I'm at that level anymore. I'll just go out and put on some entertaining fights that people want to watch.
So as far as you're concerned, close the door and Rampage is coming back.
Yeah.
How's tough going with Chael and John? How's it, you know, returns on that? The numbers looking good?
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, last Tuesday we pulled the highest 18 to 34-year-old male in the history of Tough on FX.
Well, I'm curious if you're getting people telling you, oh, we're going to get Chael fatigue. You know, since he's on that show, he's on UFC tonight, he's got a fight coming up. I mean, he's fast becoming the face, in a way, of UFC. And just, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the people. Yeah, on the people who are detracting. You know.
People who are, what, people are saying he's too busy?
Too much, you know what I mean?
Well, he spent about a year and a half doing absolutely nothing. I'm sure he's happy to be busy again. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's a grown man. He'll have to make the decision on whether he's, but it's true. I'm not kidding you guys. Every day, we were just talking today, there's a movie with De Niro and Stallone, and they want Chael in the movie. You know, it's like everybody wants Chael right now.
Can you talk about the situation of the fight between Anderson and Weidman and the idea to make this fight in Brazil?
Who told you that?
No, Ed you want and
oh, Ed.
Weidman
is Ed making fights and locations and yeah, no, that fight won't be in Brazil. If Weidman and him fight, that fight won't be in Brazil.
And about the rumor?
It's not. We don't have a fight scheduled in Brazil at that time.
And about the rumor, the fight between Anderson wanted to fight like Kung Lee.
That what?
About the
Kung
rumor
Lee.
of Anderson wanting to fight Kung Lee.
Not true either. Yeah, those two aren't going to fight.
Would you consider Rashad?
Huh?
Would you consider Rashad?
I would consider Rashad.
Is that one?
If Rashad won on Saturday night and wanted to go to 85, we would consider that.
Okay, is that your preference?
We're considering it.
So is Rashad and Weidman the two options that you're considering, right? You said you had two different scenarios you were considering for Anderson's next fight. Are those the two options? That if Rashad wins and wants to go down to middleweight, he would be it, or Chris Weidman?
Yeah.
Those are the two?
Yeah.
So
those are good.
Would you consider Rashad at a catch weight or at 205?
What's that?
Would you consider Rashad Silva at a catch weight or 205 if Rashad has difficulty?
Now, how would that make sense, my friend, to make them fight at a catch weight?
Or at 205?
It's for the title. No, Anderson Silva is the 185-pound champion. Why would Rashad move down unless it was for a title? He'd want to win the title.
But he's also said he wants to fight Anderson. He doesn't know if he can make 185.
And I guess he can't fight Anderson. I mean, if you're going to fight him, you got Chris Weidman there. And here's the thing. If a lot of people think that Chris Weidman is the #1 contender right now, if Rashad made a move from 205 down to 185, it'd be tough to say that he's not the #1 contender. But if he can't make 185 pounds, what would be the point in doing it at catchweight? It would make no sense. Other than he just wants to fight Anderson Silva.
So would you, in that scenario, but we don't know if he can make 185, he would have to start making, I guess, practice cuts to see if he can make it before you would.
I agree.
Dana, what do you see Luke Rockhold fitting into this mix?
We're talking about doing him and Vitor.
And is there any definite date or plan set for that yet?
Not yet. We're working on it though. But that's one of the ones we're looking at. Huh?
Any expansion talks, moving into new countries, anything like that? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, this year we're going into. The hell are we going this year? I can't even remember. But yes, the answer is yes. We're going somewhere this year.
How's Russia? Is that
Russia, yeah, Russia's one of them. We're working on Russia, and you know, we're still working on our move into India. But yeah, we're going. What's really cranking right now is Brazil. Brazil is off the charts, crazy huge. You know, it's to the point now where Lorenzo is going to start spending a lot of time in Brazil. A lot of time in Brazil.
What about the issue with the Sao Paulo government and the whole financial situation there? Is that a detractor, deterrent at all? A challenge?
It's all part of doing business. I mean, every time we go into a new country, there's always challenges, and you know, look, we still don't have New York here. You know, and this, you know, we've been working on this country for 13 years.
You getting closer?
Who knows? And as we get you know, as we get into these new territories, you're always gonna come into problems and roadblocks and obstacles. So it's all part of the deal.
So no chance that slows things down a little bit. Because I know how hot the market is, but if you're not getting the financial backing you need, is there a chance that slows things down?
Financial backing in Brazil is the least of our worries. You know, the economy is off the charts down there. You know, they're the 5th or 4th largest economy in the world. The sport literally is growing right now while we're speaking. It's a monster. It's unbelievable, and Lorenzo's going to be learning some Portuguese. Let me tell you that. He's going to be spending some time down there.
But it's a problem to make business with government, not with a company. Because in São Paulo,
we've been dealing with government since the day we bought this company. It's you know, not just here in the United States. I mean, there's so many stories that you guys don't know, from England to, I mean, all over the world where we've been, stories that never hit the media, you know, events that almost got canceled the day before we were about to go live worldwide on pay-per-view, and things like that we handle behind the scenes that nobody even knows about. We've been dealing with government since the day we bought this company.
Are you close to do like a big fight in a stadium in Brazil, or still?
Depends on the fight. I mean, the 3 places we could do a stadium fight is Canada, the United States, or Brazil. Those would be the realistic 3 places we could do it, and it would depend on the fight.
If you're saying Anderson fight wouldn't be in Brazil, where do you think it would be?
I don't know. Yeah, might be
Why
Vegas.
wouldn't it be Brazil?
Because we're not scheduled for. We already have our schedule. We don't. It's not scheduled for Brazil.
When are you going back to Brazil?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
I had heard that you were starting out at 115 men's strawweight division. When are you looking at maybe targeting that and implementing that weight class?
Yeah, what I said was that we eventually will, as we move into Mexico and all these other Hispanic territories that we're going into, as we go into Asia, you know, we will need a 115-pound division. There's no doubt about it. And it will happen someday, but we're not like working on that right this second.
Do you mean it'll be featured more like on regional shows in that country? Because I've heard a lot of blowback from fans with that news thing, and we don't need 115. We don't need 115. Does it mean that those fights will be more like on regional shows in those cards?
They decide what the fuck we need and don't need, right? Yeah, no. If we put on more shows and go into these territories, and you have a lot of guys that are smaller guys and weigh that, we'll end up with a 115-pound division. You know, it's like how many knuckleheads were talking smack about, you know, Demetrius Johnson and all these other, and look at the fight the other night on Fox. It was awesome. That fight was amazing. You know, I don't listen to that bullshit. When people say stuff like that, it's just, you're looking for something to bitch about. You know what I mean? What do you care what these guys weigh, as long as they're, you never know. You could have a guy come out of, you know, at 115 that fights like Anderson and destroys people, and he's exciting and fun to watch. You know, and it could be a division that's full of talent, yet this guy stands out, and it's, you don't know what's going to happen. You know, for people to say, oh, this shouldn't have, that shouldn't have. People said that about the 155-pounders at one time. Imagine if we never had a 155-pound division because 42 fucking fans thought we shouldn't. You know what I mean? It'd be a tragedy.
Obviously, we have the featherweight title on the line here, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on Ricardo Lamas after his, destruction of.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he looked awesome.
So how does he fit in the mix now? Because obviously, we have Chad Mendes has been winning, and now it's like a division that used to not have enough guys. All of a sudden, seems like has a lot of good guys.
I agree. So, who's going to fight next? I don't know, but we got some fun fights lined up in that division. You know, just because it is so stacked and there's so many talented guys.
If Aldo wins on Saturday and beats a former lightweight champion.
Oh my God. Programmet presenteras av betsafe.com.